Let me bring in Congressman Mark Sanford. Mark Sanford, you're in South Carolina. What do you think? Maybe you guys can get a plant?
Sounds like a good idea. You know, if you happen to look at the numbers, South Carolina is #1 in the entire continental United States of America in per capita foreign direct investment. It's actually a hot spot, whether that means Volvo or BMW or Boeing or a whole bunch of other spots. Won't name out single companies, but a number of people have chosen to make it our home. I'd encourage it.
And I would also say I've followed South Carolina and all the businesses that have eventually come there from out of this country. You know how to get those things started and bring jobs to your state. Quickly, we got to get to the budget because you were in that committee, the House Budget Committee yesterday, that was marking up the budget, which then passed with every single Republican there. And you were front and center. Got the video of you yesterday doing that. And open the window for us. Give us some of the specific parts of the budget that Democrats actually liked. They didn't vote for it, but overall there had to be something in there that you watched some Democrats on that committee say, we could live with that.
Well, not so much on this one. It was a pure party line vote. So the Republicans voted for it. The Democrats voted against it. And I think that their point was the cuts to domestic discretionary might be too great. They worry about, for instance, something like Medicaid. As you begin to think about different government programs, Medicaid is not cut. It ultimately rises at a slower rate of growth than would otherwise be the case. But there are concerns there. And so their votes are where they are. I think a lot of Republicans, myself included, didn't like some parts, in fairness, but we viewed it as a vehicle for tax reform. And tax reform is something that hadn't happened in this country in 30 years. I think it's vital to the very competitiveness that was being talked about just a moment ago by the three corporate CEOs and the president in their decisions in terms of allocation of capital. And it's something we got to do a bit better on.
But Congressman, work with me here. I know it was a vote along party lines. I know you got no Democrat votes. However, which parts of a very complicated budget were they willing to live with? Was there anything?
Yeah, I'm sure there are parts, in fairness to your point. The idea of picking exactly what was going through Sheila Jackson's mind or go down different members' minds, I don't know. I think that the views would be disparate. I think that there'd be parts that different members like and parts that different members of the Democratic caucus don't like. But I'd say as a whole, what they were concerned about was too much increase in defense and too much cut to domestic discretionary. That's going to get ironed out, I believe, ultimately in the Senate side.
Well, ultimately, you guys were able to do what the Senate could not, and that is move on to the next phase, which would be a full House vote on that budget. And, of course, the Republicans control the House at the moment. So let's just say that passes. What is the next thing you tackle? And I'm hoping you'll say tax reform, but can you? And when do you anticipate it could actually be done on the House side?
I think it's a fall activity, and even then it's going to take longer than everybody suspects. I think that the White House is much more coordinated and focused on the tax proposal than they have been at times on the health care debate. I think that leadership will be vital from the White House on this particular one. I think that if you look at Kevin Brady, head of Ways and Means Committee on the House, and Paul Ryan, they're fairly united around the notion of a border adjustment tax. I think there'll be great contention on that particular point. I happen to be one of those that's against the idea of a border adjustment tax, given the way that it's, in essence, an add-on tax. We have an income tax, but now we'd be adding, in essence, another tax to consumers. I would, and I tried to offer an amendment last night at the Budget Committee level to say, well, wait a minute, I see the writing on the wall. You know, with the collapse of the health care debate yesterday, what happened was tax reform got about $1 trillion more difficult to get.
Well, then how do you pay for this budget, sir?
If you took away full expensing and then left in place a depreciation schedule, you'd have it paid for without a border adjustment tax. I think that would be a good trade-off versus a whole new category of tax.